Oh, sorry. Am I not supposed to be possessive now? I thought it was written in the stars, Richard.
Yeah, but not with a dad. Oh, okay, never mind. No, you're right. You should be worried about daddies. Welcome to Dr. DC's podcast.
Nice. Welcome to Dr. DC's podcast.
Yeah. Welcomes to Doctor's DC podcast.
Take it again, but leave all this in.
Welcome,
Take it again.
welcome residents to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and across from me is the doctor himself.
Wiggity wobbity boo.
Wiggity wow. It's a weird energy.
It's fine.
We're finally back together.
We're back together again. I'm back in the Yukon.
Yeah, baby.
I'm here. I'm
Get
ready.
used to it.
Get used to it.
May. Yeah, no theme this month.
Yeah, and I wouldn't believe it if there was one because it's July.
Oh yeah, but we're just right on the corner from Eatgist, baby.
Oh man, trust me, we've been talking about it.
We got a hell of a plan.
Eatgist is fucking coming.
Yeah,
on the Patreon next month.
Yeah,
so really relevant to today's episode.
But that's the type of content that you're getting. You should subscribe.
But just know, when you're listening to this, better stuff is happening next month on Patreon.
No matter what happens in this episode, just don't open the door and remember that something good is coming.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of, each week we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners like you.
That's right. And I want to start right off the top.
Oh, because I didn't do it last. Yeah, I should have used it.
It's torn up, baby.
Oh, fuck. He tore up the coupon that
the one that you fucking blew.
Yeah,
like an amateur.
I burned it so poorly.
Like an absolute amateur.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, too bad I can't use one this episode.
What do you like? What possible? What are you gonna? Let's all right. Let's have it. Let's see it.
Too bad I can't use one this episode.
What are you gonna do? Let's see.
Yeah. How about for this episode we make mine Marvel?
Shit. Fuck. Oh, damn it. I was so ready to talk about these. Fuck. I ran my mouth. Okay, so the Make Mine Marvel is redeemable to instantly turn any episode topic from DC to Marvel.
Uh-huh.
Our topic for today is space travel.
This is going to make the fans so mad.
You sent in some great questions. I just want to say that. Also, there were so many questions, I actually split it into 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So the second half will happen at some point.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to do my best to...
Yeah, what was your plan for this?
I think the way this is going to work,
Uh-huh.
you'll still ask the questions
Sure.
in DC form.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to answer their Marvel equivalent.
This is such a bad idea.
So that's what's happening today.
This is such a bad idea.
I ran my mouth because I don't know what's good for
I
me.
wasn't going to do this, but you talked too big of a game.
Son of a bitch.
You made this.
All right, here we go. Welcome to the Master Marvel podcast.
Each week we talk about the wild and crazy world of Marvel.
Yeah, true believers.
Yeah, while fielding questions from listeners like you.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, son of a bitch.
You made it.
I had like DC news I wanted to... Okay, well, Marvel news dropped. We got the first set photos from Deadpool 3.
Oh, that's right.
So we see, the full Deadpool costume, but the big news is Hugh Jackman in the yellow and blue, like classic Wolverine costume. Really, really cool stuff.
Very, very cool.
I mean, I am pumped that we're like finally in the era where it's like, just make it look like the comics.
Yes.
You know?
It's good. Just do it.
It looks great.
Just don't film it like shit, and it'll look cool.
Because yellow, I mean, not only were like the full color comic book costumes like taboo for a long time.
Yeah.
But also, I think there was a thing with yellow. Like, even think of like first season of The Flash, they were like, we should make Reverse Flash's costume mostly black.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it had that kind of burned, like scorched look.
yeah.
And so it was only yellow in like 1/3 of it. The rest of it was like kind of black.
It's too much like a costume.
You know, like I think there was something specifically about yellow too. There's like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And maybe it is, but I think it looks great. It's just a couple of photos and one little clip that I saw, but Hugh Jackman looks dope. It's got the blue gloves, the boots, the yellow, all the kind of, that's cool stuff.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with that,
Fuck.
let's get into today's episode.
Son of a bitch.
All about space travel and Marvel.
You know what? There's nothing that says I can't do this. Just know you asked great questions, and we'll come back to this in a DC context in another time. But you get what you get today.
And we don't get upset.
Fuck. And we're fine because I made these fucking coupons.
Because it's not just about the gesture. It's about the follow-through.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm ready.
Let's go to Twitter.
That's Twitter.
That's right. First question comes from Catchuar David,
Okay.
who asks, how does the Justice League
Avengers
as a whole get around space? The likes of Superman
I mean, I'm not going to like sub in
And
the thing for each
Green
thing.
Lantern
Yeah.
can fly around solo, but what about the rest? Also, how do the Avengers get to and from the Watchtower?
I don't think the
Avengers space station?
Well, the thing, I think the Avengers just have like terrestrial thing. I don't know if the Avengers have a space station. But there's there's lots of Avengers that have had space adventures. Like I have a small run of Invincible Iron Man from the 70s, and he was on space adventures in all of those. And usually the drama is like whether or not he runs out of juice for the suit.
Sure.
Essentially. So Iron Man obviously has enough tech that he can go to space, survive in space. He doesn't have I don't think trans-dimensional rockets. I don't think Iron Man unequipped with anything but the suit could just fly to another planet.
Mm-hmm.
But they got the Quinjet, and I got to imagine they use some kind of technology for that. Thor has access to the Bifrost. I'm sure they use that when necessary.
Mm-hmm.
New Asgard was orbiting Earth, so there's relations between Earth and the Asgardians. So I'm sure the Rainbow Road is an option sometimes. Obviously, there's characters like Captain Marvel and Nova and that have connections out in the greater universe. And plus, there's just spaceships from those aliens.
Yeah.
Surely some of that technology is used. You also have characters like Reed Richards, who's super smart, and he had they have the Fantastic Car, and they were space they were astronauts. That's where the Fantastic Four got their powers, right, from cosmic energies and that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure through their travels, there's enough that there must be a canonical adaptation to the Quinjet that lets it fly to other planets. The X-Men can. The X-Men, it might not be the whatever they call it, the Blackbird or whatever, but one of the X-Men has connections to, it's either the Shi'ar Empire or something like that. And so what's his name? Cavalier or Buccaneer. There's X-Men that has some name like that. He's connected vaguely to Cyclops. People are screaming right now. But the X-Men go to space and shit all the time for that. So there's enough connections out there to spacefaring races and individuals and powers that there's ways to transport groups of people who don't individually have spacefaring capabilities.
Well, that's right. Yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D. has a space station, but not the Avengers.
Yeah. Well, I thought SWORD was the space station. Or is that just in the MCU?
Great question.
Right.
Good thing we're Marvel
This is
podcast.
going to be good.
Yep.
Son of a bitch.
This is what happens in fucking Icarus. Next question comes from our favorite religious representative.
Chris Chan.
Chris Chan asks, What is the most popular wholly human species, or what is the most popular wholly human means of interstellar travel? You can't count anything that is influenced, however minimal, by extraterrestrial technology, powers, or magic.
I mean, okay. Clarifying things here for this question. If it can't be influenced by anything extraterrestrial, so we can't be using like some sort of alien engine or, space magic or something.
Yeah.
But could you use terrestrial magic that comes from Earth? Or are we saying, is the question just with Earth science, what's the best like spaceship that is in Marvel?
Well, it's actually asking what's the most popular?
Yeah, see, that's tough. I mean, there are like wholly terrestrial space things in Marvel. So I just mentioned the Fantastic Four. They go to space not with any like extra shit, just because they're geniuses and they made a space station and they or a spaceship or whatever. They went to.
Yeah, I don't know how
space.
like interstellar it went.
That's not interstellar though. That's exactly it. Iron Man, I'm sure, fell through a wormhole or some shit. Like, there's wholly terrestrial is tough.
Popular.
Yeah, I mean, who the fuck knows? I would throw out there that there might not be one, because the things that can actually do that maybe come from Asgardian magic from
alien technology,
the Kree or the Shi'ar or they come, or the Nova Corps, like they come from these other places, and so I have a suspicion that there actually might not be one at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go. Next question.
You should be fucking proud of how well I'm doing so far. Can we just talk about that?
I mean, I don't know how well you're doing. We could be doing terrible. I'm sure the fans will let us know.
I'm so fucking upset. I walked right the fuck into this.
Wasn't even my intention. You made me. You're like the guy in that episode of Supernatural. You're like the real estate agent who was just like, move on with your life. And I'm like, no, this is my life.
Yeah. Fuck.
Yep.
Oh, well.
From EC. It's so easy.
Just like talking about Marvel for me.
Yep. Who asks, which characters would you want to see on an interstellar road trip as part of a miniseries?
Interesting.
Examples: Superman and Batman.
Right.
Flash and Supergirl.
Sure.
Crypto and Green Arrow.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been so fun to answer with DC.
Yeah, a fun road trip. I mean, I think it's easy to... I think I would throw Volstagg in there. Volstagg is like one of the Warriors 3, like one of Thor's companions.
Sure.
He's like the big kind of Gimli-looking one. Volstagg's always like that. He's like, let's feast. He's kind of he's got like that kind of vibe.
That. Oh, Gimli. Yeah.
That I sort of fucking love. So I think he'd be generally good. Plus, because the Asgardians are kind of like aliens.
Yeah.
He'd be like a little bit a guide, but it feels like he'd be the one that like doesn't fill you in on all the customs, because he also kind of wants to see what happens. Like,
sure.
There's that. I think he'd be fun for a road trip thing, but then you'd want to pick someone that doesn't get to go to space very much.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Spider-Man goes to space, but like, you throw Miles, with Volstagg or something.
Yeah.
Or Ms. Marvel. I mean, I don't know if the comic book Ms. Marvel goes to space all that much. How deep is her connection to Captain Marvel? You've read lots of Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, they honestly, they interact.
Yeah.
For sure. But they don't really. They haven't done a lot of traveling, at least from what I've seen.
Sure.
It's largely like her having her own sort of like more like Spider-Man, like friendly neighborhood superhero type things. She's had some interactions with like larger sort of team events and things with Miles Morales.
Yeah,
but not as many like full out events with her. Like she's Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel's shown up to help like crises and stuff in Miss Marvel's town. But
right,
yeah.
I think you take a character like her or like Miles,
sure,
and you put them with someone like Volstagg or like an Asgardian.
Sure,
I think that's fun to me. and characters I know.
Yeah, sure. I like that. I would love to see Rocket Raccoon.
Sure.
Hanging out with, let's say, Punisher. Because I think like there's like a combination of like appreciation for weaponry and like brutality that the two of them could really bring out.
Interesting. The Punisher is just so not full. Like, I feel like space travel is lost on the Punisher. Like, there's no whimsy. You know what I mean? It's just like, everything's a cesspit.
Yes.
Punish me.
I think like him or Punisher and like Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
Just like the fully, like they would have nothing to talk about.
Yeah. There's a lot of like silent panels. Yeah.
It's like the Chief O'Brien book. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right. Next question. We're leaving Twitter and heading over to Facebook.
Sorry, to where?
Facebook.
To where?
Facebook.
We're going to Facebook?
Yeah, we're leaving Twitter and heading over to Facebook.
That's not the order those go in.
But it's how they showed up.
Then you're looking at it wrong. I did it today. There were no questions from Facebook.
Oh, by that I mean threads.
Yeah. Squibbity bop bop boobity boop threads. That'll stick.
No, that's Instagram. You can't. We made this rule.
It's an Instagram app.
It's technically a meta app.
It actually says threads, comma, an Instagram app.
Really? That doesn't even make any sense.
Hey.
It's an meta company.
Nope. Just accept that I made a appropriate drop for it, and we'll move on.
Okay.
This is a good episode.
I'm sure people love this.
And this is satisfying everyone.
Yeah, this is for everyone, not literally for no one.
I mean, truly, if there's ever been an episode for no one, it's this.
And I've listened to Docmas.
Oh, yeah. White wine Docmas.
Yeah. The only question from Threads comes from Pseudo885.
All right.
Who asks, does general space travel change between regular timeline and Legion of Superheroes time?
I have no idea what the fucking 31st century looks like in Marvel. I mean, I would argue there's a lot of space travel in Marvel. I shouldn't
Well,
say...
it's like Future Foundation, you know?
Is that 31st century?
Well, it's like a future group. It's Reed Richards has become discouraged by Earth scientists' view of applications of
but
science.
Isn't the Future Foundation just his kid? Isn't that just Franklin Richards? Talking about the 31st century.
Well, there's no way that specifically
fucking
is going.
Listen. 1,000 years in the future.
Oh, Earth 691?
Is okay, so it's just another Earth. So interesting. So Marvel doesn't just have like a canon main Earth far future.
Yeah, this
I would imagine though, in general, it's probably similar to how it works in DC. The interesting thing is like 1,000 years pass and we know how quickly technology and civilizations change and stuff like that. But when you read the Legion of Superheroes, they're still going around in spaceships and stuff like that. There's not a lot of instantaneous travel, which you would sort of expect, that intervening time. They kind of fall into the same trap as things like high fantasy, where you have like Middle Earth has like a 11,000 year history and all of it is swords and axes, where it's like, there's a kind of, you think of how far human technology has advanced in how short an amount of time versus the time frames of some of these things, or like Star Wars. Like, I know there's a proto lightsaber thing, but more or less the spacefaring technology and the lightsaber technology of Star Wars are unchanged for thousands of years. There's no progress. You know what I mean? So I imagine Marvel has a similar thing to DC where it's like, maybe the spaceships look a little different, or maybe they say they have a different kind of engine or something, but you're still like traveling in a spaceship. Like, it's not that different.
Well, I
you
mean,
know?
here's a great example, which is Kang. It's
Sure.
from like the 40th century.
Sure, yeah, a little further, but close, yeah.
And so that's a good example, which is like at least from like what we saw in like Ant-Man and stuff. Like,
Well, that's that like Mr. Fantastic like doorway kind of thing.
yeah,
It sort of makes me think of like if this were a DC podcast, it makes me think of like what the Authority has, like what Midnighter uses, the kind of door technology. But
through
again,
that,
Mr.
yeah.
Fantastic, I think, has a version of that. So it's a thing that's the same in the present and the far future, you know?
yeah.
Which is kind of, yeah. I think a lot of these kind of fictional things fall into that trap,
Totally.
basically. Yeah.
Look at that. You answered it.
Baby.
The threads question.
Threads.
Yeah. Which is great because next we're
Oh, baby, I don't know what to do with all those threads and scrambled eggs.
those tossed salads and scrambled threads.
I liked mine.
They're texting again. Dun, dun.
I also said, oh, baby, I don't know what to do with, instead of, oh, baby, I hear the blues are calling. So I was like, I don't know. A lot of things happened there.
Well, we're now heading over to Instagram.
Now we're going to. For a second, I was like, I don't have to make it Marvel. And I was like, no, I don't. Now we're
Instagram. Take some questions and answer them. Yeah. Squeepy boo boo ow.
Oh, baby, I don't know what to do with these tossed salads and Instagram.
They're calling again. They're photos again.
Kelsey Instagrammer.
Holy shit.
Nellie's Country Gram.
Graham Instagram.
Insta Country Gram.
Yeah. No, you could just say Instagrammer.
Fuck. So stupid.
First question comes from Robbie's Just This Guy.
There's
who,
so many questions this episode.
Oh, I know.
Too. Fuck. I was like, I'm pissed about this because I was excited to do this one properly.
Me too. You did this, though.
Fuck.
Robbie's Just This Guy asks, so, time and space are intrinsically connected. A danger with time travel is that you would need to calculate where the Earth was in orbit at the time of you wish to travel. So, can the speed force be used to traverse the universe?
So, here's the thing. There's a definitive canon answer to this.
Oh, technically there's...
There is no speed force in the Marvel universe. We
Yeah.
see this in the crossovers
Yes.
with DC. Flash loses his powers.
Mm-hmm.
There is no speed force in the Marvel universe.
But that doesn't mean there's not speed, super speed.
There's super speed, but we've established even in DC that that's not the same thing. Lots of characters can move fast and not tap into the speed force. The speed force is a cosmic engine.
Sure.
It's its own. It's part of the cosmology. It's part of the fabric of the DC universe.
Okay,
that
but
does not exist there. So that means that the Marvel universe is missing that extra dimensional layer. So you cannot use the speed force to do anything in the Marvel universe.
But can you use super speed in the Marvel universe to time travel?
Well, but we're not 100% talking about time travel. We're also talking about okay. We're also talking about space travel, right? Like you can use super speed probably. Well, see, here's the thing. I truly don't know how fast the fastest characters in Marvel go. I don't think Quicksilver goes as fast as Flash ever in comics. Like the Flash in comics regularly goes past the speed of light, regularly travels in time, and breaks all of these rules of physics because of the Speed Force. I don't know what character, maybe like a character like Captain Marvel or something, like flying across space or something, gets really fast like that. But
The first thing I when I Google Quicksilver versus Flash is unimaginably faster than Quicksilver.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Due to having basically infinite speed at his disposal, Flash, due to his incredible speed, has a vast array of additional powers and abilities at his disposal,
Yeah.
and he can utilize to generate powerful and destructive forces.
I mean, I guess where I'm going with this is in Marvel, because we don't have this extra dimensional thing, you'd have to compensate for it with something, magic or something like that. Like the Speed Force insulates the Flash from the laws of physics, basically. Like relativity is no longer a concern for the Flash because of the Speed Force. You'd have to replicate those kind of protective qualities with something else. So maybe Doctor Strange equips you or your device or whatever with something to do the same function, and then the regular laws of physics apply, where go fast enough, you go back in time.
Sure.
But you need something to fill the role of Speed Force. So whether that means magic or some sort of Asgardian technology, or like we've got lots of faster than light travel in Marvel, there's lots of spaceships and shit like that. There's some sort of hyperdrive thing. There are ways to do it, clearly, but you have to apply it to someone else. I don't know that any one person has the power in them to do what the Flash can do.
Yeah.
But I want to circle back to the thing in there that no one else seems to agree with you on this, except for this question, which is, I brought it up years ago on an episode, which is the Earth is always moving.
Yeah.
So if you travel in time,
you just end up in space.
You just end up in space or phased into a building. Like it's, I don't know that it's a given that your relative position in space tracks with the Earth as you move through time.
Yes.
And no one else seemed to agree with me on that.
Oh.
Everyone seemed to be like, of course it would, or like whatever, And maybe there's a version of it where when you're traveling through time, like because you're the constant, maybe you do track or something. Like who knows how any of that shit would work mathematically. But I suspect you have to. Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is beyond me in math and physics, but there's a version where I think an interesting thing to do once in a comic is that you travel back in time, and you could only do it at intervals where you'd end up definitely on the Earth. Like, I can't go back in time 3 weeks. I can only go back in time a year. Like, if you set up that rule for some character, it would be kind of interesting. If their relationship to time and space was sort of fragmented that way, that's maybe like an interesting restriction on their power. It's something fun to play with. But no one else seems to feel that way. I'm surprised it came up in this question, because I think I got fucking laughed out of town the last time I said it.
Well, at least you're not holding on to a grudge.
Yeah, and I'm fine, by the way. If anybody's wondering, I'm doing great.
That sounds awesome. Let's go to the next Marvel question.
I'm so fucking angry.
Next question comes from Hotel Sovi. Living it up at the Hotel Sovi. You can check out with the appropriate papers, but you can never leave.
Yeah.
Who asks,
yikes,
is the Carrier the most versatile transporter in all of DC? Like the Helicarrier?
No, I was going to talk about the Carrier.
I have no idea what that means. We're talking about Marvel. Is that a thing in Marvel? What's the is the Carrier the most versatile transporter in all of Marvel?
No.
What's the Carrier?
Doesn't exist in Marvel.
Oh, weird that they would ask a question. This is kind of like when you did my Patreon.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know why they would ask us about this.
I don't know what the most versatile one is. I mean, I think that X-Men Blackbird manages to do quite a bit, because it does terrestrial travel and space travel, I'm pretty sure. I mean, but the most useful thing is probably the Bifrost.
Doesn't do time, though, wouldn't that?
But it can do people and places. And we're not talking about time. We're talking about space. It's like you move people, you move things, like any amount in any kind of like. You could be anywhere and call it. You know what I mean? Like the Bifrost, I think, is probably one of the better means of conveyance.
Fair.
I'm going with Bifrost.
All right. Well,
I guess.
You having a problem, buddy?
I'm fine. This is a good episode.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be the title of the episode.
Yeah.
This is
a
a
good
good
episode.
episode.
Yeah, that sounds great. I love that. All right. Next question comes from Mara in Iowa, who asks, can Kryptonians survive in space without a ship or suit? Sometimes they're just hanging out up there. Sometimes they're in ships or spacesuits. Thoughts?
I want to talk a little bit about in the MCU when we see people in space.
Yeah.
It's happened a few times, like in Guardians of the Galaxy. And my question, and then actually, even on this season of, this is like not Marvel or DC, but the first episode of this season of Strange New Worlds, we also see some people kind of brave space.
Oh yeah. And in the Guardians of the Galaxy new movie that you see it briefly.
Well, I
too.
already started by saying Guardians of the Galaxy.
But I knew the new Guardians of the
okay.
Galaxy movie.
But the thing I don't know is like how scientifically accurate some amount of time is. You know what I mean? Like,
because there's always
we've always heard like conflicting things. Like, do you freeze? Do you immediately explode from the pressure differential? I don't know. But I do think it's interesting. Like the depiction of it in Guardians of the Galaxy has this very kind of romantic thing, like slow, like ice crystals kind of thing.
Yeah. Except for what happens in the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Oh, okay. Which I haven't seen yet.
Yeah. It's on.
So that's kind of interesting. But I mean, for the most part, most creatures can't survive in space.
Yeah.
The people that we know that can survive in space in Marvel, and obviously my knowledge is more limited, but a lot of those have
You'd have a podcast
some like
it.
extra powers. Like Captain Marvel isn't just like she has the whole like what's it called, like Kree Central Intelligence and like all of like that like power or whatever that's given to her that allows her to survive in space. Or a character like, I don't know if Gladiator can survive in space, but if he can, like, he's also like a chosen warrior that's imbued with more power. Adam Warlock has more power. Like all of these characters that theoretically could do that and survive in space, they're all kind of special. They're not like, it's not like an entire species that could just like live in space.
Sure.
Although I'm sure there are those in Marvel, but like I couldn't tell you what they are. I don't think Skrulls can. I don't think the Kree can generally. Although the Kree are like immortal, but I think that just means like long-lived. Like they could die. So yeah, I mean in the movies, Thor is relatively space invincible.
Yes.
As Guardians are. Thor survives out in space at Nidavellir to restart the sun. He survives in space until the Guardians find him. He's like, Thor is relatively space impervious. So I don't know if that's just because he's Thor or just that as Guardians can hack it.
Oh, interesting.
And that's that would be a question. Yeah.
All right. Next question coming from Inventobot, who asks, how is a boom tube different than regular transportation?
I mean, there are different types of transportation. So when we're talking about something like the Bifrost,
sure,
which is maybe the closest Marvel equivalent to something like a boom tube, we're essentially talking about
it's like,
well, we're talking about what is in physics terms described as an Einstein-Rosen bridge, which is like an actual wormhole kind of idea.
Yeah.
We're tunneling between two different points in two different spaces. Now, a boom tube in DC also operates on like an extra dimensional layer too, but essentially what we're talking about is we're making wormholes. So you're going through a tunnel, you're doing the Event Horizon thing, you're folding space, going through a tunnel and coming out the other side in quicker fashion than you normally could. That's different, obviously, than just traversing the intervening space very quickly. Because one is actually warping space to put 2 points closer together.
Yeah.
So it's a shorter distance.
Mm-hmm.
And the other is just moving faster to cover the actual distance in space. Those are different. And those are different still from instantaneous teleportation. it's a bad example because he technically moves into another dimension and back, but our perception of Nightcrawler is that he disappears
Yes.
and then reappears.
But he doesn't.
He's not he's technically going into another dimension and
Yes.
coming back. But it's not the same thing though. Like he's not opening like a hole in space.
No.
He's just blipping out of our realm, blipping in at a different point.
Mm-hmm.
He's closer to, I would say, instantaneous teleportation. He's still not 100% like that. But even like theoretically, that idea of like a transporter in Star Trek or something like that, that is... Well, sorry, I'm confusing things a little because even the transporter doesn't work this way.
No.
Theoretically, an instantaneous teleportation, you disappear in one location, you reappear in the other. You haven't crossed any
Or you're
distance.
nothing is transported.
You haven't. Nothing has traversed any distance.
Yeah.
You just disappear and reappear somewhere else. The transporter in Star Trek, you are traversing that distance. You're just doing it as deconstructed photons and matter and energy. But you're still being shot down, beamed down, and then reconstructed. So that's different again still. But yeah, essentially, I would argue that the Marvel version of a boom tube is the Bifrost because they're both essentially, they're artificial wormholes, Einstein-Rosen bridges.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, baby.
Tube.
I wouldn't know.
All right, let's leave Instagram and head on over to Reddit.
Where everyone's nice and Richard is mean.
Oh, yeah, this is my fault.
Yeah.
I did this.
You did this. I don't know who wrote this. I don't know who made this fucking coupon.
Yeah, I don't know who fucking got real goddamn cocky at the beginning of this episode.
Fuck. I forgot that this was one of them.
Yeah. I know you did.
Fuck.
All right. First question from Reddit comes from Just Takes One Bad Day 725.
Oh, I'm aware. Trust me, I'm there.
That's how you tell them. Trust me, I'm there.
This is my Joker origin. Or I guess I mean Green Goblin or some shit.
I was like a clown to you.
Yeah, I've been like a father to you, Richard.
Daddy.
I've been like a podcast to you.
Wait, not a podcaster?
Nope.
Is there an intergalactic map of Marvel? I know of the multiversal map, but how far away is Oa from Earth? What sector is what and where?
Right. Is there a map? Not that I've encountered. I mean, to be honest, most of my Marvel reading is like, it's Thor, it's Doctor Strange, it's X-Men. You know, there's not a ton necessarily that I read outside of that, or have read outside of that. I don't think that there is like, I don't think I've ever seen a map of like the galaxy or something like that. I don't think I've seen one in DC either. I think the best you can do is just learn some relative positions based on like things that are mentioned in comics.
I mean, DC does have a map, but
they have the map of the multiverse,
which is what this is asking.
No, it's asking if there's a map of space.
Sure. But they're saying, like, I know sure, I guess, an intergalactic map. Yeah.
Right? Like, they're saying it's great to know that there are multiple Earths and, like, where heaven and hell are. But in one universe, is there a map of the universe? And the answer is no. But the best you could do is just take clues from the comics. So I'm sure in Marvel, someone has said that, like, you know, that Xandar is in the same system as, you know, whatever planet, or that Asgard, you know, like Asgard in the Nine Realms, surely they've made, like, you could even imagine that Yggdrasil is a slight map, but we just don't know the scale of it, right? Like, is Svartalfheim a planet in the same galaxy, in a different galaxy on the other side of the universe? Like, how far does the Bifrost go? That I don't know. And so that would be the question. But I think in both DC and Marvel, I don't think we have like a map, like a star map of where specific planets are. I think you just have to go from anything we've ever been told, which is like, a DC equivalent. I know this is a Marvel podcast, but a DC equivalent would be, we know that Krypton is in sector 2813 and Earth is in 2814. We can infer that Krypton and Earth are relatively close on, the scale of the cosmos. Sure. Marvel must have something like that where someone has said something about Silver Surfer's mentioned his planet, where it is versus, or in relation to Earth. Surely there's something like that.
That being said, if you want a pretty good idea of at least like the minute, like the maps in between all of the like larger scale view of Marvel, there's a book called Marvel Universe Map by Map, an atlas from Asgard to Wakanda.
Oh, that's fun. I have one of those for DC that I guess I'll never get to talk about.
Yep. Yeah, it sucks that you did that to yourself. All right.
You son of a bitch.
Next question from Daspel123, who asks, what is the top 10 most bullshit way people have traveled in space / ways people have traveled in space that had no right being in space? What's the top 10? Can you narrow it down to 10?
Top 10 bullshit ways?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Next question. Who gives a shit?
Tastes so good.
Why Marvel? Why would I do this?
You set this up. You put these pins up. You put the clock in motion.
Listen, coupons don't kill people.
Oh no,
the people who cash them do.
Yeah. Wait.
Yep.
Let's leave Reddit and head on over to the doc score. The cap scored.
No, it's still the doc scored. I'm the doctor.
I thought you were Captain Marvel.
Oh no, I said. Oh no.
Come on, liven up. You got a bunch more questions left.
Okay, let me think of a fucking song. Scored. Doc scored. Doc scored.
Whoa, hey.
Fuck you, man. You and me are done professionally.
Wait, how are we still together?
Romantically.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I was done with this podcast years ago.
Yeah, finally. Keep the mics on, though.
Yeah, we get down to business.
Yeah.
All right, first question from the doc scored. Comes from Lilith, who asks... All right. I hope you've read for this one, because this is a complicated
I
one.
will kill you.
If we've done your research. Has anyone ever used the Shadowlands to travel between two places? If you walk a mile in the Shadowlands, do you come back a mile away on Earth, or is there some space folding going on?
I imagine you could enter like the dark dimension.
Is that like where
Dormammu?
Oh,
is.
I was gonna say, because like, what about the fucking X-Men guy when he?
No, that's like a hell kind of thing, like Nightwing, Nightcrawler.
Nightwing, easy. What
Nightcrawler.
podcast is this?
I think like goes through hell because Nightcrawler's dad or something is called like Azazel. He's like part demon. Like
sure, yeah.
Nightcrawler's powers are like hell adjacent. I'm pretty sure. There's but I imagine you could enter the dark dimension in one location and exit it somewhere else. Anytime you're using these like other layers of reality, other kind of dimensions or whatever, I think it's reasonable to assume that you're traversing X amount of space. That space might translate differently in your dimension, so it might not be to scale.
Yeah.
You might not, like 1 foot might not be 1 foot of distance in the other dimension, but that you travel a certain amount, you could exit back in your dimension in a different location. Doctor Strange and what's her name, Cleo, Strange. They go to the dark dimension. They do adventures and shit. They could probably. I don't think they always exit where they enter. You know what I mean? They surely are spat out somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like, it's not the Shadowlands specifically from DC, but we're essentially, the question is asking about different dimensions. So the Nightcrawler thing still works. He's going to hell or whatever, but he's entering one location, he's exiting somewhere else. It poses the question of how much can you stretch that? A, is it possible to do that planet to planet, system to system? And if it is possible, is it possible for every character that can do it? You know, like, is there a limit, say, for Nightcrawler in terms of, like, how far he could go in the Hell Dimension, how long he could stay there? Like, maybe technically you could enter that dimension and then leave on the other side of the universe, but could he pull it off? Maybe not.
Sure.
And I think that's like a sort of secondary question. Is like, A, could you do it? Maybe. B, could they do it? Probably not, or we would have seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Great answer. I really like this. This next one's really gonna fuck with your brain. From Rear Admiral Chunkman.
Stepping into the stump Chunkman, sir.
Blah.
Blah.
Who asks, do any of the Lantern Corps have a FTL type system built into their rings, or do they have a Guardians of the Galaxy type portal system?
So Guardians of the Galaxy, I think it's hard to tell in the movies.
Because they have that weird, like,
The
hexagonal
thing.
Yeah.
But I can't tell if that's like that they... I'm not sure it's meant to be that they're opening a hexagonal portal so much as that's the visual representation of they've done another hyper jump.
Sure.
Or whatever you know what I mean? Like, I think it might just be the visual language of, and they did a hyper jump to there now. I don't know if they're necessarily opening a hexagonal portal and then flying into it. You probably could read it that way. I'm not sure that's how I view it,
That's how I did, yeah.
but I suppose that makes some sense too.
I also... Oh, man, you haven't watched the movie yet.
I mean, if there's something from 3 that maybe proves that it's a wormhole or something. But.
Well, sort of, because it tries to... There's a gigantic ship that tries to fit through the hexagonal portal and has to, like, sort of stretch it out.
Okay, so then maybe it is a portal then.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I never viewed it that way, but that sounds pretty definitive.
Yeah.
I mean, faster than light travel, like lots of species have it. There's lots of spacefaring species. We talked about the Kree. We talked about the Shi'ar. We've talked about Asgardians. We've talked about that. The Nova Corps have ships and stuff like that. You know, like there are lots of there's lots of spacefaring races. The Skrulls, so we've seen lots of versions of ships that could obviously travel. If not faster than light, they have some sort of other kind of hyperdrive, like things like that basically mimic faster than light travel. Those things absolutely exist. I think the Nova Corps one is just some kind of faster than light travel thing. I don't know if it's a portal thing, but
Sure. Next question. From Crimson Raven.
Okay.
Who asks, what spaceship has the coolest design in your opinion, and which looks the dumbest?
Ooh. I kind of think that, I don't know if it's like this in the comics, but I kind of think that Ronan the Accuser's ship is dumb looking.
The, like, twisty thing?
Yeah. I kind of think it's dumb.
I kind of think it's cool.
I just don't know why it's twisting.
It's because it's scary.
I guess. Yeah, a cool looking ship. I mean, I like the Milano. I like that's the Guardians ship. I like the Milano. I like what other kind of ships have we seen?
The Blackbird.
The Blackbird's really fucking cool looking. There's
Kind of
something
like a Harrier.
There's something about like the wings going forward that makes it look really cool. Plus, it has that like kind of like almost like kind of looks like a sword, like the way that the
Yeah.
hull is shaped. The Blackbird's a really fucking cool looking ship.
The Quinjet.
I like the look of, I mean, it's not a spaceship, so forgive me, but I like the look of those, like, the hover ships from Black Panther. You know, like that shot at the
yeah.
beginning of the first Black Panther where you're in Oakland and you look up and you see the ship in the sky. That's a cool fucking ship. I like that.
Asgard's Reach. It's got that big circular thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's all right. I don't know if that's my favorite, though. I think it's probably something more like the Blackbird or the Quinjet or something like that, or like some of my favorites. I just like the look of those, yeah.
Like the Milano and stuff.
Yeah, the Milano's cool because the thing I like about that is that it looks like a bird.
Sure.
You know, like I like all the, I know it's not like necessarily practical from like a ship design thing, but it's got all those kind of things that are almost like feathers, like extra pieces that kind of bend and that, and it can kind of change its orientation. The Milano, yeah, my answer is the Milano. That's my favorite one that I've seen in Marvel so far. Close second is the Blackbird.
I think the dumbest is the Statesman.
What's that one?
Statesman was like a massive Ark-looking spaceship owned by the Grandmaster and later stolen by Loki and Sakaran rebels.
Oh, okay.
It would use to escape Sakaar and carry Asgardians away from their doomed realm. So
sorry, that's in the MCU. That's the
yeah.
That's the ship with the orgy mode.
Yes.
Like, they hit the button. He's like, "It's time to party."
Yes,
Like,
yes.
oh
It's a stupid looking ship. You know what ship you know what ships I love?
I actually thought that giant ship. Yeah. Or sorry, or is it the giant ship that all the Asgardians get on? Because there's Thanos eventually breaks.
There is, because there's the one I think from like the beginning where like is it Endgame or whatever, where they're inside of it, and then
That's
Thanos
the
shows
enormous one that shows up at the end of Ragnarok.
Yeah, that one's,
maybe that's the Statesman.
Yeah. The one I'm talking about is like that's this big cylinder thing. And,
and
that more of like the whole like. They're two Asgardian ships,
right?
But
gotcha.
You know what ships I actually think are kind of cool looking? Are the Nova Corps like starships or whatever?
Now, are they the
Star
same,
Blasters?
I don't know if you're looking it up, but are they the same in the comics as they
Yeah.
are in the MCU? Because I liked that thing where they like interlocked and had like the shield kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know if they do that in there, but
that was dope
rad.
in the movie.
Yeah,
they've got a cool design.
I really like those.
I think
think those are cool.
That's a good one too.
All right. Next question.
Okay.
From Only Just Dan, who asks, do they ever explain why Space Cabby literally just drives a cab car in space? Is he tied to Earth?
Next question. I was excited to talk about Space Cabby.
Too bad. This is the
fucking Marvel.
Well, it's too bad. All right, next question. From Yeoman Rossi.
Yeoman.
Sure.
You don't know how to pronounce yeoman?
What's yeoman?
A yeoman is like a low, like non-commissioned rank on a ship.
What's yeoman with you?
Yeoman, I hardly know her.
Hey. Him. Who asks, oh man. What is your favorite? What is your favorite? Lantern rings, FTL drive ships, superpowered flight, boom tube, zeta beam, wormhole, folding space, or other? So, like, what's your favorite Marvel space travel type?
I mean, I think we've already kind of answered it, but for me, it's Bifrost. I love the. I mean, I love it because it's part science, part magic. At least the way they talk about it in like the MCU and like I think even in the Ultimate Universe, I think that's kind of where it comes from. Because I think the Ultimate Universe is where we sort of maybe first establish that Asgardians are like on another planet, like as opposed to being like gods. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I like that idea of it's sort of magic in that only certain people can summon it and summon it from anywhere and control it and stuff like that. But it's essentially it's like a portable tactical wormhole. So it's both the folding space thing and a a wormhole a little bit. But for me, it's the Bifrost. I think that's a really cool one.
Colloquially known as the devil's anus.
Is it?
Yeah, no, I just
No. If you're talking about the movie, the Devil's Anus was just a different wormhole. The Bifrost is specifically like the Asgardian thing,
okay.
like the one that Heimdall like controls. That's the Bifrost. The Devil's Anus is the big, just other wormhole they escape Sakaar in Ragnarok. Yeah, that's what that is.
Okay. I think mine is probably I like the Guardians way that they do that.
The portal thing?
Yeah.
I did like in the second one where like Rocket and Yondu are doing like multiple jumps and you see them kind of like getting sick of it. And that's a pretty good effect. I enjoyed that. I liked that what that set up for me was that idea of like that you still have to have some sort of sense of like, it's almost like seafaring. Like you have to get your bearings. Like you don't just go Earth to anywhere. You have to like make stops.
Sure.
And partly it's like your engines. It's partly it's like cartography, like to know where you are and change direction and stuff. I kind of like a system that feels a little bit like the way navigation is on Earth.
Yeah.
Where I can't just from my house drive straight to anywhere.
Sure.
I got to take a road. I got to make a turn. I got to do like I kind of like things that mimic that. They just feel a little bit more in the Star Wars way where like it's a little like it's cool, but it's also shitty. Like it's kind of cool, but also shitty. You can go anywhere in the universe, but like there's steps.
Sure.
Like that's kind of funny to me.
So here are all of the faster than light tech in MCU. So there's space stone portals.
Yeah, which a true just portal.
Yes.
Not a wormhole. Just a hole in space.
Yeah, that connects distant points in space at a fundamental level. There, I saw it in the Shield TV show had it on one episode because I think like the main character lady ends up on like a fucking moon or something at one point.
Yes. Well, yeah. Fitz or Simmons.
Yeah.
Ends up there. Yeah.
Because
they did a whole like Inhumans thing for a bit.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Which is when I jumped off that show.
Yeah, same.
There's this and they brought back this weird like creature that took over that one FBI dude and anyways, the sling ring portal which is magic but instantly appears in very limited range, line of sight, or a strong memory of a target location is how that works.
Yes, yeah.
The Bifrost, which is like envelopes in like energy field that allows them to travel through a wormhole.
Yeah.
There's the Q ship drive, which appears to be a faster than light straight like travel without any use of wormholes. Tech allows ship to accelerate and decelerate from faster than light travel without breaking the Einstein laws. Travel time Earth to Titan measured likely in hours, definitely slower than the Bifrost. Bruce Banner beat the children of Thanos to Earth from the wreck of the Commodore by several hours.
Yes, that's true.
Advantages lie in flexibility. Q ships can exit faster than light travel in lower Earth orbit with no warning to the planet below. Wakanda sensors gave maybe a few minutes warning before the Outrider drop pods started landing.
That's true.
And then the final one is jump points or gates. So artificial hexagonal wormholes.
So that's the Guardians thing.
Yeah. With a limited range, multiple jumps require to cover large distances, common in Andromeda Galaxy. Travel time costs in the sublight period between each jumps. Long range travel, Sakaar to Asgard, measured in months, has deleterious effect on mammalian organisms with many jumps.
Right.
So
there you go.
Those are the different ways. And that is the end of this episode. If you would love to talk to us more about Marvel, you can do so through the Doc Score.
No, that was it for fucking this.
Or you can send a question for next week's episode. What does Marvel have to say about...
We're back to DC next week.
Whoa, that'll be a weird change.
Send your questions about Green Lantern's terrestrial enemies. He's got lots of like spacefaring bad guys, but I want to talk about Green Lantern enemies based on Earth.
Hey.
Because there's all sorts of them. Dr. Polaris, the Shark, Sonar. Send your questions about those guys. That's what we're going to be talking about next week.
That's like the opposite of space.
Yeah. It could be for any Green Lantern. We could talk about Major Force. We could talk about, I don't know, insert other.
Wow. Well, you can ask those questions through our various social media platforms.
Yeah, Dr. DC Podcast on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram. Dr. DC on Twitter for limited time, provided that Threads actually does what I want it to do, and I don't have to crawl back to the fucking sewer.
Did you see that video I sent you where it's like Zuckerberg like being like, "Mommy, they like it."
Yeah. And then on Reddit, /Dr_DC, you can send an email to drdcpodcast@gmail.com. We got a website, drdcpodcast.com.ca. Use the dog phone, 208-917-3238.
We have a website.
I already said it.
You can give us a 5-star review. If you like our Marvel content, give us a 5-star review and we'll read it on a future episode.
That's what I think of your Marvel content.
Have you learned nothing? You know instigating with me only makes me more powerful.
What are you going to do? You can't make me do Marvel again.
Yeah, but I've got
you want to
other
burn
powers.
2 in one episode?
No, I'm not going to do that.
Is that what you're going to do,
I'm not
baby?
do that. I'm smarter than that.
Are you?
Well, remains to be seen.
I don't know if you're really smart. You would use one. Teach me a lesson.
That doesn't work with me.
Doesn't it?
No, I don't do well with peer pressure. I do what I want when I want.
Well, yeah, and I know what you want.
I mean, you do, but... all right. Also, once you subscribe to our Patreon...
Patreon.com/DrDC.
Hear what we think about the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
When I watch it eventually.
Yeah.
There's a $1, $5, $7 level. They all give you access to the Discord, our awesome Discord fan community. And at the higher levels, you get bonus episodes, you get theme polls, and for the Golden Age patrons at the highest level, not this week, but next week, a new movie rewatch series is starting. Me and my wife are having bonding time. We're watching every James Bond movie together. And
How is that not
it.
already a podcast called Bonding Time?
It might be, but I don't give a shit. I don't care about anything anymore. I'm at the end of my rope.
Oh, wow. Well, if you like this content, maybe you'll like our other podcast, High Stakes, a Vampire Diaries story.
I make a new set of coupons. It's the same type of thing. Yeah. A Vampire Diaries podcast. That's good. Yeah, Ghostfacers.
High Stakes is pretty good.
A Supernatural rewatch. We're going through every single episode of the CW Supernatural. We're partway through season 7 right now. And we talk about real world monster lore, behind the scenes stuff about the show. It's a ton of fun.
And that's it for this week.
Adios.
Ciao, ciao.
Heroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure, they are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.